so many people in this industry are so scared of these business principles is because they don't know how to learn in a way that creative people learn about business principles. Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Mapper Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is sadly the final episode of this series with Miranda from the Coffee MBA. And Miranda, today we are wrapping up this series about business fundamentals or business principles in coffee, and we are talking about practical ways to make progress for businesses who perhaps have skipped all the steps and perhaps didn't get skilled or informed on some of these principles. So what are some of the practical ways they can do that?
Yeah. So I always feel like this can be overwhelming. I mean, we talked about that a lot in the last episode, right? Like it can just feel like a lot. And so my advice is to almost take an inventory, right? Like what are the areas of the business that you tend to struggle the most in? Maybe you have a lot of employee turnover, or it just always feels like a headache. I think we all have at least one, maybe more of those areas. So pick one and start asking questions about like, how do other businesses do this? Like think about like publicly traded companies. Yes, they're beholden to shareholders, and so their motivations are sometimes different, also because of that, they have to do things in a pretty regimented manner that works. Like it has to work. And so what can you learn from studying that? Like look into that independently. And then, of course, to plug my business, the Coffee MBA.
Yes.
At the turn of the year, actually even this year, we're starting to launch our tools, and the whole goal of this program is to give you practical tools. So
awesome.
Like if you want to go, if you want to start thinking about selling, to distributors, your roasted coffee, it's going to give you all of the language that you need to know, all the tools. My business partner is incredible. I can't wait to reveal her and give you like not just the downloads of like the templates and tools, but the explanation of like, hey, I'm here to help you with this. I'm here to explain this to you, to give you what you need to like be successful with this. She's very focused on, she has a lot of experience in sales and all of that. I have a lot more experience with like product and marketing and all of that. And so we're going to really fill this out like an MBA.
Awesome.
So that, I need to learn about marketing. Here's this marketing pathway. Here's a social media pathway, et cetera. Here's the operations. My last job in coffee, I was the COO of a roastery. So like, here's some operational things to be considering. So that once you've done that work of like understanding where you want to focus, there's a place to go that isn't some just random MBA program, or like, there's other competitive things like Next MBA or Power MBA. Well, this is for coffee. We've both together, we've been in coffee for almost 50 years. And so, like it's not, I think we think coffee is this unique industry, and it is in some ways. It's also not in others, but I think it's nice to have your hand held by someone who like has been where you've been and seen what that's like.
And understands the nuance of the industry speak, you know?
Yes.
Which is important. It's whenever I help people build businesses, a lot of the time they'll come to me and they're not coffee people, but they want to create a business that supports this industry, whether it's an app or whether it's some kind of a sales tool or whatever it is. And they're like, we want to, the industry needs this. And so we're convinced it's going to work. And I'm like, do you speak specialty coffee?
Yeah.
And you guys do. You do speak specialty coffee, which is fantastic. And I would add to what you're saying, if anybody is trying to figure this stuff out, you've got to figure out how you learn.
Yes. Great call.
A lot of people haven't put the effort into figuring out how they learn. It was a game changer for me. When I knew this, when I kind of heard this first presented, I can't even remember what podcast I was listening to, and they were saying like, Figure out how you learn. I'm like, wait, what? That's a thing? I've done a whole science degree and I didn't know that there was different ways to learn. And when I figured out how I learn, everything changed for me. I started learning about shit that I was never interested in learning about: politics, geopolitics, economics, all of these things that were just too scary for me to learn about before. I drink it now. And it was all because I learnt how I learn best. And I think that that's why I love my job on this podcast, is because like I get to kind of work through these ideas with people who are really intelligent like you. Thank you very much. But this is the first time that I've sat here and realized like perhaps that's why so many people in this industry are so scared of these business principles, is because they don't know how to learn in a way that creative people learn about business principles. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by Mapper Forward's first on-demand workshop, How to Become a Coffee Consultant, available now online for you to learn at your own pace, with a certificate available upon completion. Click the link in the show notes to access today for just €50. Because there's not a lot of people out there teaching creatives. I was in the music industry. And there is a huge correlation between the way musicians approach this stuff and the way coffee people approach this stuff. Your husband's a musician, so you know, right?
Yeah. Oh, I know.
And I think that we need, as creatives, and this industry is full of them, as you've said many times in this series, if we can figure out how to empower creatives in the idea of learning about business and in a creative way, like the empowerment that you get from understanding the flow of a profit and loss statement. And I know to most people that sounds really boring, but to me, I find it rather poetic. It tells this beautiful creative story of the landscape of what a business looked like, but in numbers. Like, I'm a massive number nerd anyway, so that's why I can absorb it that way. But you don't have to be a number nerd to see
I agree.
that
it's storytelling.
It is storytelling, right? And I think that's something like if you learn best from people who know how to talk to creatives, go to the Coffee MBA. This is where we need people who understand how to speak to people in our industry, so that you can empower them to do better, because this is conspiring to each other's success, which is what we're all about. It's this idea of like, let's heal this industry by empowering people with things that help them make decisions for their own industry, for their own business, I should say.
Yep. And you use the word empower, and it's exactly it. That's what we hope to do.
So when is it launching? Has it launched?
No, it's something I've been talking about for a year and just kind of playing with what it looks like. But her and I are now like, all right, let's do this. And so we're going to be launching some products yet this year, like courses and tools and stuff, but it'll keep ramping up, and next year will be like full steam.
Okay. And how will people be able to find you?
Great question. LinkedIn is a great place to find me.
You are so boss at LinkedIn.
Thank you.
You really are.
It's my one like introvert social media platform that, it really works for an introvert. So LinkedIn, find me there. And also the coffeemba.co. I'm going to be, that's going to actually be shifting over these next few weeks as I launch my, announced my business partner, my co-founder. We're going to be co-CEOs, and that'll start taking shape. But also sign up for the newsletter. There's a Coffee MBA newsletter, and all big updates and everything are going to funnel through that. Amazing.
Before we sign off, I want to ask you one last question. If you have a tip for a business owner that's listening to this and is wondering, okay, I think I'm who they're talking to. Where do they start, in your opinion? Where do they start fixing things?
Well, first, go get a big hug from someone you know and love and is a safe person. And then go ask your team and your customers what they think.
about your
and
business.
then go get another. Yes. And then go get another big hug.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's hard. But like your team will tell you if they know that you want to actually truly know the answer of like where the holes are. Now, hopefully they're not being ruthless. I've seen that before. You know, I've had that pointed at me before, but like maybe ask your team if you could choose one area of the business to improve. Maybe even say it can't be where in the area that you work, just so that not everybody says their area. But the point here is start getting into the feedback muscle, because that is going to serve you from like, what do my customers want from your product development in the future? It's also going to serve you as a leader internally. And then hopefully that gets the gears turning, as long as you keep getting enough hugs to feel safe, gets your gears turning to like, okay, what could I fix? And you don't have to make any changes today. Let it be slow. Let it simmer. Let it just kind of wash over you a bit until you feel confident enough to start making some changes.
And as I've said a million times on this podcast, being in business is going to teach you everything you never wanted to know about yourself.
True.
And that level of vulnerability is a huge amount of courage. Finding out the things that you could do better is going to press on every soft spot in your heart and in your head that you could ever imagine. So it is important to have supportive people around you that know what that pain feels like, and they're the people you should get the hugs from. Whether the hug is sitting there and having a coffee with somebody who knows what this feels like, or whether it's legitimately getting a hug from somebody, but find what works for you. And make sure you surround yourself with people who are supportive and not trying to just feed you rah-rah, toxic, positive bullshit. Yes. Because that doesn't fix anything. You've got to get real about what the fuck is broken.
Yep.
And then you can fix it.
Amen. Yes. Yes. Then the world is yours. You can fix it.
100%.
Yeah.
Miranda, thank you so much for such a stimulating conversation. I've loved it. I hope you'll come back. Good luck with Coffee MBA. I think it's going to be a huge success. Will you do me the honor of signing off this podcast for us?
Yes. Thank you so much, Lee. Peace, love, and peanut butter.
Have an amazing rest of your day, everyone. Bye. Thanks, friends. If you enjoyed this video, here's what you should check out next. Consider supporting Map It Forward on Patreon, and be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell before you leave.